House Speaker Nancy Pelosi held a press briefing Wednesday alongside the congressional delegation that recently traveled to the Indo-Pacific region. During the trip, the House Speaker visited Taiwan, to the ire of China. China retaliated by carrying out large-scale military drills around the island. Many Democrats and Republicans alike endorsed Pelosi's trip, and it signaled to China that the U.S. will not abandon its ally Taiwan. Pelosi's arrival in Taiwan made her the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the island in 25 years. On Wednesday, Pelosi said the purpose of the visit was to, quote, say that we have this strong relationship built on status quo, and vowed that, quote, we will not allow China to isolate Taiwan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Some of us have just come from the White House, where the president really signed a monumental bill, the Honor Our Pact Act, for our veterans. It was legislation spearheaded in the House by Mr. Takano, chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and in keeping with our purpose, honor our oath to protect and defend, and again to honor our veterans for their service. As we have said, in the battlefield we leave no soldier behind, and when they come home we leave no veteran behind. Protecting to defend is what our Codels are always all about. Defense. That's the purpose, the justification. We expand that to include economic issues as well as governance issues. Security, economy, governance. To that end, we follow the lead of our president, who made clear that one of his priorities was a strong Asian-Pacific initiative to increase our cooperation in those fields: security, economy, and governance. It was a remarkable trip in which I'm very proud to have traveled. We're like 6 co-chairs of the delegation because we all brought so much to it. But again, I'm very thrilled, almost emotional about what happened at the White House today. But actually, it's what this week has been about. The CHIPS bill is a national security bill that was signed yesterday. The PACT bill today, again, yesterday afternoon, the president signing the authorization for our support of Sweden and Finland coming into NATO, and then on Friday when we pass the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, again recognizing that strong economy is essential to a strong defense of our country. So again, we went to, as you know, Singapore, Malaysia, Taiwan, South Korea, the Republic of Korea, and to Japan. In all of the countries, we met with the leadership of the country, but important to us and central to it was our interparliamentary meetings to show that we see the role of Congress in strengthening the discussion. We went with humility, we went with respect to listen, to learn what their views were about what the president was proposing, and sharing with candor and respect how we saw things. It was very constructive in that way. We also had the privilege of being, well, here we are in some meetings. They're self-explanatory. That's the Prime Minister of Singapore, who welcomed us grandly. But we also paid respects to some of the cultural aspects of their country that they were so proud of in Singapore, in all of the countries, and perhaps we'll go into that. Again, 6 co-chairs, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Gregory Meeks, and you'll hear from him in a moment, Mark Takano, chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, Susan Delbeni, the vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee, Raja Krishnamurthy, a member of the Intelligence Committee, and Andy Kim, who cannot be with us, child care. He was gone last week, child care issues. He has 2 little boys, and he is a former diplomat working in the State Department under President Obama, and a member of the Foreign Affairs as well as the Armed Services Committee. He sort of was our diplomat on the trip, would you say? And we miss him here, but he's available to answer any questions you may have. It is the beautiful diversity of our trip. Imagine this, the beautiful diversity of the trip, which is self-evident. But Mr. Takano, Japanese-American, Mr. Krishnamurthy, born in India, Andy Kim's parents born in Korea, so the the respect for culture, country, and differing views so eminent for all of us on the committee, but some of it directly connected in that way. The purpose, as I say, was to talk about defense, economy, and governance, and our members will talk about some of that. But in each of the countries, we thank them all for their immediate and strong response to condemn Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Especially those in South Asia, we thank them for their leadership in just banning Burma, as I call it, from participating in some of their meetings in reaction to their execution of 4 political leaders there and their oppression of political dialogue there. It was remarkable to see, but of course we talked about, in terms of governance, we talked about COVID, we talked about climate change, and the rest. So it was very valuable. In different countries we had specific issues that related to their countries, which we can talk about if you wish. In terms of Taiwan, our purpose in going to Taiwan was to say that we have this strong relationship built on the status quo, which we support, which is really important because they're saying, well, we're trying to upset. No, the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979, at the same time as our change of recognition, established the terms of our relationship, the 3 U.S.-China joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. So there's no departure from that. But in keeping with that, we will not allow China to isolate Taiwan. They have kept Taiwan from participating in the World Health Organization, other things where Taiwan can make a very valued contribution. And they may keep them from going there, but they're not keeping us from going to Taiwan. We will not allow them to. So we think their reaction, that was our purpose, to salute this thriving democracy. Don't take it from me. Freedom House said one of the freest democracies in the world. Show our respect for that, for the success of their economy, for the enthusiasm of their young people to embrace democracy, and others as well, but the young knowing nothing else except a free Taiwan. So that was our purpose. Their pretext was our visit, for them to do what they normally do, intensified. They didn't do it when the Senate went under Chairman Menendez of the Foreign Relations Committee. They just decided to do it this time. So in any event, we're very proud of our delegation. We're very proud of our men and women in uniform. When I talk about security, whether it was at Travis Air Force Base, whether it was in Hawaii, where we visit with them and went to the Arizona, and then to Guam on our way to get their appraisal of the situation in the region, the Asian Pacific, and also to pay our respects to our men and women in uniform, which we did there, and we did in the countries that we visited, especially in Korea and in Japan. And in Korea, we had the privilege, led by the General Lakamura, to go to the DMZ to get an up-to-date current report of the North-South dynamic in Korea. It was interesting to me because I've been to Pyongyang, I've been to North Korea. It's a horrible place, but again, we were seeing where at the border how things were going. So for these and other reasons, we were very honored to be received. We thanked our host of the host countries. We spent a good deal of time in an interparliamentary way in every country with their speakers and that. And again, we thank our embassies and our diplomats who represent us so well and who made our visit such a success. Just close by saying 2 things. When we were in Japan, we were beautifully welcomed at the Diet. We went there to pay our respects to Prime Minister Abe, who was a friend of America, and they had their tribute. They'll have more, but this one they invited us to. It was very sad, but again, a connection between our 2 countries. And in closing, I just want to thank our president. He has been a president for peace, for security, for economic growth, for good governance, and we're very proud of his initiative, which was the main purpose of our visit and our timing. With that, I want to yield to our distinguished chair of the Foreign Relations Committee, excuse me, that's the Senate, the Foreign Affairs Committee, and the place where so much of all of this begins. I praise him for his commitment to our security, our economic success, and good governance in all the countries that we are engaged with. Mr. Chairman.